So we've got the one on Anaxa. Anaxagoras the Blasphemer. The Crisis out challenges the core flame of reason. Great, thanks for being problematic, Anaxa. I'm joking. He's been actually really bloody helpful the longer this journey continues. We gotta big him up. All of these results originate from a question I have long pursued. What are we truly? And if I've indeed become an empty shell, then let the flame of truth blaze all the facer through it. Producer Anaxa, stylist Anaxa, and then photographer is a chimera. Fair enough. The true nature of soul extraction. Here stands Anaxagoras, the blasphemer. The Crisis out challenges the core flame of reason. He chose infamy, defied prophecy, and drove doubt into the sacred tree of wisdom. Today's interview takes place in the Grove of Epiphany. Steeped in wisdom, there, Professor Anaxagoras stands alone, lost in thought. Come, let's take a closer look. Thank you, Professor Anaxa. May I ask? First off, do not call me Anaxa. I'm sorry, it said your research faced fierce opposition. Could you explain the focus of the Nusporists? The mediocre buzz like flies. They didn't just accuse us, they tried to seize and burn everything. Our early manuscripts, our Nusporus work, would have been reduced to ashes if not for a few saved copies. But then again, it is rare indeed to find someone who can put aside their blind devotion to the Titans and the prophecy and willingly seek to understand the research direction of Nusporists. And that alone deserves commendation. Our school's studies focus primarily on the transformation and ascension between beings and essences, such as the relationship between humans and gods, how the soul of each is formed, and what elements constitute it. And if, in essence, the soul bears no fundamental differences between the two, does it mean we might refine the soul itself and move towards higher dimensions, even crossing the very threshold of divinity? What I have shared here is but a fraction of our work, and when the time comes that you truly wish to explore it further, you may seek me out again. My name is Anaxagoras, one of the 7 sages of the Grove of Epiphany and the founder of Nusporus. If you seek knowledge, ask. Question 3. You mentioned soul refinement. It sounds almost impossible. Could you speak about any results you've achieved? About that, man. About that. Of course, all these results originate from a question I have long pursued. What are we truly? I once carved a songbird that miraculously flapped its wings and took to the sky, though it circled 5 times at low altitude before falling. I also sacrificed my left eye in an attempt to wrest a loved one back from death, but in the end I did not succeed. But even so, I remain grateful for that failure and see it as a blessing granted by someone I once held dear. Ugh. Still rough. And the fact we have a light cone of that moment is really, really rough actually. Through that hollow fragment of nothingness, I began to seek the core of this question and caught sight of even more possibilities in the realm of soul refinement. I refined golden blood, dissected creation itself, and continuously dismantled and reconstructed the arrays that shape the soul, until at last I discovered that one singular irreplaceable answer. And if I have indeed become an empty shell, then let the flame of truth blaze all the facer through it. Which, we know he was right, and he was able to imprint himself on Lygus, which is really funny actually. Even if Lygus could delete him, it doesn't change that it's funny he did that. And it doesn't change how much we rate it either. Question 4. Now that you have found the answer you sought, Professor, is there anything else you still wish to achieve? Ha! What a good question. If the day comes when there is no longer anything worth my continued pursuit, I imagine I would apply for a personal research lab. In my spare time, I would enjoy designing teaching tools to enhance the learning experience, automated chalk that adjusts to each student's needs, a simulated arc that explores and records a world beyond the sky. Ha ha ha, I made that. A wise slate that answers any questions posed to it. That's unfortunately called a phone and the internet, even if it can be wrong. I believe that with those in place, the academic atmosphere of the Grove might become a little more delightful, and he's not wrong. Also, his gun. Grove of Epiphany Alumni Interview, Volume 752 Excerpt. Special thanks to Miss Hyacinth for a generous contribution of archival materials. During his time at the Grove of Epiphany, Professor Anaxagoras nurtured countless outstanding talents for Amphorius. Among them was Phainon, 10-time great debate champion, and Castorice, who graduated first in all disciplines. Atta girl Cass! On this Grove Open Day, let us revisit those scholarly days together with these two exceptional alumni. What led you both to choose New Sporus? I usually try to avoid places with too many people. That's why. Wow, girl, wow. After consulting with the teachers in Okima, they recommended the New Sporus. Valid. Can I be honest? I got reassigned to this one. Oof. Ooh, that's rude and funny. What was the most valuable thing you gained from studying at the Grove? I'd say the way of thinking. Professor Anaxa always encouraged us to approach problems from different perspectives, to resist blind obedience to authority, and never to fear voicing our own ideas. Every time we presented a counter-argument or even challenged him, he was genuinely pleased. Which is good. That's a good mindset to encourage. As long as it's not for terrible reasons, anyway. Thanks to that mindset, I found new ways through many obstacles I once struggled with. Atta girl. The courage to stand out, and a toolkit full of debate skills. You couldn't miss Professor Anaxa's impromptu defences during the Grove's public trials. His arguments were firm, his points were razor sharp. Well, points razor sharp, it doesn't have a word there. And he could ignite the audience's emotions to the point that even the atmosphere itself felt like part of his arsenal. Which is true, that's fair. Any personal stories about Professor Anaxa you can share? He was particularly fond of a drink called fizzy wasabi vinegar. What? No, man, no. It sounds strange, I know, but it wasn't actually bad. It tasted kind of like mint lemon soda, just with a sharper kick on the aftertaste. A lot of people were put off by the name alone. In some ways, I think that suited the professor rather well. Yeah, true. I still can't forget the very first Soul Physics class after enrollment. Professor Anaxa was passionately delivering the lecture for the first half, then suddenly went completely silent. Filled the entire board with equations in a burst of inspiration and left the room laughing, only to vanish for the entire week. Well, for an entire week. Either way. You've just walked out, man. You can't be doing that. Professor Anaxa, do you have anything you'd like to say to these two students? First of all, stop calling me Anaxa. Second, they are outstanding and they will no doubt become even more so. That is all. Real. 2. Phainon. As alchemy teaches, a blank slate holds infinite potential. Anaxa. Hey, that's a really good sentiment. To Castorice. To sail the ocean of books or to reach out and touch the world, both may guide one to truth. Also, really nice for her. It's personal advice that feels very fitting from him. It's nice to see. Subtitle. Special thanks to Miss Hyacinth for providing the professor's unsent message cards to these columns. He didn't even send them. God damn it, man. Send them to them. It's fine. The Grove's intelligent teaching feedback system. To help readers better understand Professor Anaxagoras, Miss Hyacinth has kindly retrieved several genuine student evaluations from the Grove's intelligent teaching feedback system, now presented here for your reference. Name, Professor Anaxagoras. Courses, Introduction to Alchemy, Foundations of the New Sporus, Spiritual Physics. Profile, one of the 7 sages, founder of the New Sporus, dedicated to alchemical and soul-based research with more than 100 published books and papers to date. Jesus Christ. Course reviews. A teacher with an impossibly hard-to-remember name. It's not that hard. Ah, that saggy lassie fella. What? Replying to the comment above. That's how I remember him. Rude. Every time I sleep, I'm always woken up by the teacher's generous and excited tone. Are you sure it's generous or excited? Are you sure? I genuinely admire the professor's state of mind. Highly recommend this course. The assistant teacher is super kind. You can even ask her for lecture notes. Yes, we pick up Hyacinth. While I don't always agree with his arguments, I deeply respect the professor's unwavering pursuit of truth. And then it's spelled Anaxagoras. Fair. You can see the order of how much these are liked and think that it's kind of judgeable. The actual genuine comments that aren't about his name. God. Ooh, pretty. Human Divine, a lecture by none other than Professor Anaxagoras. The Nosporus enrollment is ongoing. Inquiries welcome. All opinions expressed in this session are solely those of Anaxagoras. The Grove of Epiphany assumes no responsibility. I love how they specify that to avoid any legal issues. There's a doodle of a Dromas face! He and Dromas's. Or Dromas. Everyone knows Professor Anaxagoras has a soft spot for Dromas. Some even call him a Dropas draped in finery in a not-so-nice tone. But, through this column, we hope you'll come to understand him better. After all, who in their right mind doesn't love Dromases? Real. Anaxa, Dromas Care Society, outstanding volunteer. There's still so much I've yet to learn about Dromases. Published papers, the Dromas Longevity Manual for keeping to bonding, anatomical study of Dromas muscle structure, and microexpression patterns. Aww. And it's how to draw one. I'm not reading that, but it's very funny that he's teaching us how to doodle. Oh my god, it gets better. It gets better. Top pick for Dromas Resonance, the Dromas Pajamas. Let's go, man. Someday they need to make him have a costume or an outfit, and it needs to be that. It has to be. It's rude if it's not. First, for an accurate imitation, ensure the hood's brim extends beyond the midpoint of your head. Only by fully wrapping the head you can convincingly mimic a Dromas. Second, colour matters. Dromas purple is notoriously hard to match, so take care. Dromas blue is a safer option. Third, and most crucial of all, the tail stuffing must be soft, fluffy and springy. This greatly improves sleep quality. Anatomical study of Dromas muscle structure and micro-expression patterns. Calm joy, typically observed after meals. Indignation, do not schedule work during this period. Contemplation, must be left quietly thinking. It looks like the exact same image each time with slightly different lighting. Okay, if you say that you can observe a different Anaxa, good for you. If you want to grow closer to a Dromas, start by sharing a meal. The most common feeds for Dromases include red soil, yellow soil, and black soil. Red soil is inexpensive and widely available. While some claim it has health benefits, in truth it does nothing, though at least it isn't harmful. Yellow soil and black soil, preferred by Dromases, are indigestible for humans and should never be consumed. Still, there is no need to force yourself to have a try. Sharing human food is just as effective. Dromases are docile and unselective. They can eat most human foods, just in larger quantities. Does that include meat? Because they have the body types of sauropods, which are herbivores. Like, herbivores can eat meat. They normally eat bones and stuff when they are lacking things in their diet. But these things eat dirt, so, does that apply to them? An answer for whomever asks. Thus spoke Anaxagoras. They who seek truth in chaos shall find their souls answering back. A well-known book of answers passed around the grove, rumoured to have been penned by the self-styled, rule-defying scholar. Drawn from the insights of alchemy, it reveals truths of the soul and offers guidance in moments of need. If you find yourself lost or burdened, step forth, turn its pages with your fingertips, and in that instant, when an answer reveals itself, you will know what your heart has long sought. Instructions. Focus your mind on a single question, then subtract the hour from the minutes of the current time, and take the last digits of the result as your number. So, for me, it'd be... For me, it'd be 1. Once the calculation is complete, the truth reveals itself. Before you even saw the number, didn't you already know the answer? Trust in me isn't unnecessary. Trust in yourself. 0. The answer is yes, certain and absolute. 1. A fundamental change is approaching. 2. A seed has been sown. Be patient and wait for it to sprout. 3. Countless paths lie before you. Walk boldly. 4. The wrong door leads to the right destination. 5. Everything in the world lies within your grasp. 6. Sow the seeds of suspicion. 7. A better moment awaits you. 8. Perhaps it's time to break the rules. Rules are made to be broken, man. 9. What I see is far beyond expectations. Okay, so these are just his opinions. Fair enough. Crisis Air interview relay continues. Message from Volume 4 character Castorice. Is this spoke Anaxagoras truly your own writing? I said those words, yet I didn't write the book, but that hardly matters now. On the next issue, Volume 6 cover. The true value of knowledge lies somewhere in its application. Sadly, the so-called sages of the grove have yet to learn that. If you could ask them anything, where did you get those 2 cards? Yeah, asking Hyacinth where she took them from, which is very funny and cute to see the cards that were referenced. It's sorry, Anaxa, you've been called out for being actually quite sweet here. Well, let's go. This guy has made himself a bit of a legend in the story by completely crippling Lygus, at least temporarily. Like, the fact he could catch Lygus off guard at all says a lot about his capability, and I appreciate that. It's good to see that this guy is so capable. He's a bit weird, but let's be real for a second. Most historical geniuses were never seen as normal. And being normal is boring. So at least he's fun. And at least he holds good morals, which is probably the most important thing. So yeah, let's go. Hopefully you had fun with this, and take care of yourselves.